Okay, good day, guys. Just doing a quick run through of the Champions League last 16 fixtures. Of course, you guys know that the Champions League draw was held recently in Switzerland. And just doing a quick run through and some predictions as to who will progress to the quarterfinal stage. So the first fixture is Monchengladbach versus Manchester City. An interesting fixture, not as easy as some people may think. Some people may think that undoubtedly City are the favourites for this, and they are the favourites, but it's by no means an easy fixture. But over two legs, I do expect that City will get the edge. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of an upset, especially with City's recent history in this competition. So I wouldn't rule out an upset, and I think Gladbach are strong enough to produce an upset. But as I stated earlier, City undoubtedly the favourites. Gladbach are currently sitting 8th in the Bundesliga. You know, that position might not be very flattering to Monchengladbach. Certainly their form in the Bundesliga has not been that impressive. In their last 6 games, they have only had 1 win. 3 in their last 10. The 1 win coming over in the last 6 coming over helpless Schalke. And to be fair to Monchengladbach though, they haven't lost a lot this season, but they have drawn a lot of games. I suspect that strength in depth is an issue for Monchengladbach, and we see this with a number of teams like Monchengladbach who are not consistently in the Champions League. Teams like this do tend to struggle with strength in depth, and so competing at a very high level on multiple fronts is a challenge versus teams like a Manchester City who have the resources, and both monetarily and player wise they have the resources to compete on multiple fronts. It's expected on a every year basis that they will be in multiple competitions competing on multiple fronts. Whereas teams like Gladbach, when they do get into the Champions League, do tend to struggle juggling both the league and the Champions League, especially in this season with the COVID-19 pandemic and the games just being, coming quick and fast. The season being crunched into a smaller time, obviously, because of the long hiatus that took place last season, and it kind of throwing things out of whack, so to speak. But so I wouldn't focus too much on Gladbach's Bundesliga form and the fact that they're 8th in the Bundesliga because of the whole issue of strength in depth. But I do think that the first 11 is a good team. Players like Player, Thuram, Mbolo, I think is a decent player as well. I think that those players can cause even the best players and best teams rather in the world some problems. They emerged from a tricky Champions League group, a group that consisted of Shakhtar Donetsk, Real Madrid, and Inter Milan. Arguably the toughest group of this season's Champions League. Very, very tough group. A group that they probably were not favourites to emerge from. But they played good football. They played very good football. Probably should have even topped the group. Threw away good leads, especially in the first leg against teams like Real Madrid and Inter Milan. But still, they got out of the group and they must be given credit for that. Two big wins over Shakhtar, 4-0 and 6-0 respectively. That helped very much as well because they finished on the same number as points as Shakhtar, 8 points. But because of Shakhtar's -7 goal difference and their +7 goal difference, that's Gladbach going through. And as I said, when you when you when you put down 6-0 and 4-0 drubbings, obviously your goal difference will be much higher than the team that you gave those respective drubbings to. But as I said, a good team and a team that can cause Manchester City problems. Quick in transition, a counter-attacking kind of a style. And they have good individual players and players that can hurt you. So I do think that Gladbach has what it takes to put up a strong fight against Manchester City, even though I think they're second favourites in this one. And as I said, I wouldn't too focus on the 8th place in the Bundesliga. I'd more focus on their Champions League form and the fact that they have had some good results against big teams in the group stages. Manchester City, on the other hand, 8th as well in the Premier League. Currently 8 points off Liverpool, albeit they do have a game in hand. And if they were to win that game, they would be 5 points off Liverpool. But they're currently 8th. And not as good a start to the season as they would hope, especially in the league. The season isn't going as well as they would like, but it's not a bad season. But they, truth be told, they haven't really gotten it fully off the ground as yet. Who knows? Come February, they might be into full flow. Relatively easy group. Porto, Marseille, Olympiacos, resulting in 5 wins and a draw. The only team in this group that I thought anyways that would have given them a good challenge or a fairly decent challenge was Marseille, but they were very, very disappointing. Porto too, but to a lesser extent. But I really did think Marseille would be a little bit better in this group. But anyways, so they pretty much ran through the group, dominated the group. Part of the reason for their topsy-turvy form though in the league is probably because Aguero was out. And the Manchester City do look a little bit flat rather, without Aguero. But Aguero is back, and if he's still around in February and not out injured, as he always seems to be, but Manchester City, I think their play will improve as the season progresses, because Jesus for me just cannot be a number one option for Manchester City. He hasn't showed that so far in his time at Manchester City. Except for that time in those first couple of games before he got injured for City a couple of years ago, where people were thinking that Aguero could possibly be replaced. But, that has yet to materialize. And Manchester City, interestingly, the best team they have beaten so far this season is Marseille. Losses to Tottenham, Leicester, and a draw with Liverpool and United. That's their record against some of the top clubs are basically the top clubs that they have played so far. So really and truly, they haven't really beaten anybody of note this season. Defensively, though, they have improved, and they have improved immensely. Manchester City's defense has always been an issue, but this season they have conceded joint least with Tottenham, conceding only 12 goals. That's the joint least in the entire first division in the Premier League. And they have also conceded one goal in the Champions League, albeit the group was very easy. But defensively this season, they have done very, very well, especially with the addition of Ruben Diaz, who has been very good for Manchester City. But the problem this season hasn't really been the defense, it's been the offense. Going forward, they have not scored as much. The free flowing, free scoring team of the past, this season anyways, has not been living up to expectations. They have only scored 18 goals in the league so far, which ranks them 11th in the entire Premier League. Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, newly promoted Leeds have scored more goals than them. Newcastle has scored 2 less goals than them, and Brighton has scored 3 less goals than them. So their 18 goals this season have not been very impressive at all. As I said, I expect that to improve with the addition of Aguero. Manchester City just lacking that focal point up front. That player, the goal poacher and the goal scorer, impressive goal scorer that Aguero is. Jesus not living up to, are not filling the shoes. Jesus not filling the big boots by Aguero, and so hasn't been putting the ball in the back of the net a lot. I do expect that Manchester City's goal scoring will drastically improve with the return of Sergio Aguero. But as I said, City are favourites, but one of the issues that I have with City is that Guardiola does tend to overthink things in the Champions League a bit. Especially, we saw that last season as well. Overthinking things and just ending up shooting himself in the foot. And also, they have had some bad luck as well in previous seasons in the Champions League. But I do think that City are firm and strong favourites heading into this encounter, and I think that over both legs they will progress.